Gamers, and today we're going to be going over the 5 most important games of this Week 14 slate. Coming close to the end of the season, guys, and I'm kind of sad. I'm going to be without football for so long, Adelaide, after this. But we do get to see the playoffs, and we've been building up to this forever. So we're starting to see what the playoff picture is going to look like, and I'm excited. So, do a shirt reveal. It was a hard choice between two teams last week, but in the end, I had to go with the Miami Dolphins. I gotta say, the Miami Dolphins were probably one of the most impressive teams that I saw play. Fitzmagic took them back from a 14-point deficit to win the game against an Eagles team, which is not that good, but they're not terrible. So, I mean, that's good for the Dolphins. Fitzmagic's back, and I can't tell who's better, Fitzmagic at quarterbacking or Brian Flores at coaching. Who comes up with that play call against the Eagles? And it's Brian Flores. This man might be one of the greatest head coaches we'll ever see, and the Miami Dolphins have got to steal with this man. Okay, let's move on. If you're wondering why it was a hard choice, it was a hard choice because the Chiefs also played last week and they decimated a good Raiders team. So, but I had to go with the Dolphins in the end. Okay, so going into this week, let's just start straight up. We're gonna go 3 most important games of the week. Okay, so let's just get straight into the first one. It's pretty obvious. Bills at Ravens, and this is a really important one because not a lot of people know this, but if the Bills win this game and then if they win out, the Bills win out, hear me out, they get the number 1 seed in the AFC. No way. But it's a very important game this week because if the Bills win this game, then they'll have the tiebreaker with the Ravens. And then if they can beat the Patriots later on, then they'll steal the division from the Patriots. Really important game for the Miami Dolphins. Not the Miami Dolphins, the Buffalo Bills. Huge game for them. Josh Allen's playing really well, and you know what? I'm going to go with my Buffalo Bills. I know it's an upset, but not quite as an upset as my upset special. You guys are going to call me ridiculous for my upset special, but I feel it coming. I feel it in my soul. And Adelaide feels it in her appendix. Adelaide, don't you feel it in your appendix? She says, yes. Well, my name is not Adelaide. It is Poppers. Sorry, Poppers. So sorry. But, moving on. We're going to go Buffalo Bills here. I know it's a weird matchup because the Ravens' rushing offense is great and the Bills' rushing defense is not so good. But the Bills' offense, this might actually be a shootout, believe it or not, with the Bills' defense carrying them throughout this year. The offense for the Bills has stepped it up last week, and I think they can win this week. Okay, moving on to the next game. Very important game. Niners at Saints. Very important because this really determines the number 1 seed in the NFC. If the Saints win this game, they'll be in charge of their own destiny. They'll have the tiebreaker over the 49ers and the Seahawks. So whoever wins that division, if they have the same record as the Saints, then they'll be the number 2 seed and the Saints will be the number 1 seed. So it's very important that the Saints win this game. Very hard to predict, though, because if you haven't heard, Kiko Alonso and AJ Klein are out for this game, decimating the poor Saints linebacker core. If you didn't know, the 3 Saints starters coming in this year were Alex Anzalone, AJ Klein, and Demario Davis. Anzalone went down in the preseason, so they traded for Kiko Alonso, who has been fantastic. I'm not going to complain about Kiko Alonso, but he's down this week, and so is AJ Klein, which means Demario Davis is going to have to carry this linebacker core. And while he's great at a lot of things, technically covering people is not one of them. He's great at rushing the passer, but moving on, I think the Saints are going to win this game, and for one reason, it's their offense. Drew Brees, Michael Thomas, and Alvin Kamara, including Jared Cook. Jared Cook had a lot of drops last week, but he's still a really good tight end. So I'm excited to see these 2 offenses battle, plus against a really good Niners defense. So that'll be exciting to watch. Okay, 3rd most important game of the week. Chiefs at Patriots, and I cannot stress this enough. If the Patriots lose here, that means of the 4 teams that are over 500 they have played, they've beaten 1 of them, and that was the Buffalo Bills with Matt Barkley at starting quarterback in the end of the game. That's not good. They got decimated by the Ravens. They got decimated by the Texans. You know what? I'm predicting it again this week. Chiefs are just going to go up there. light them up on offense. And like, Patriots defense had carried them all year, but it turns out when you play quarterbacks who can actually play quarterback, like Lamar Jackson and Deshaun Watson, they don't do as well because defenses really can't stop those two guys. No one can stop Patrick Mahomes either, which is why I think this is going to be an absolute victory for the Chiefs. Unless Tom Brady can keep up, which the Chiefs defense is not that good, but Tom Brady's offense is terrible, just absolutely abysmal. They have really young receivers like N'Keal Harry and Jacoby Myers. Like, I get it. Those guys are really talented, but they're also really young. You have to get it to Edelman, and that's it. If you double team Edelman, you're good. So, that's my input. Chiefs are going to win it. Now let's go straight to the upset special, and you guys are going to call me crazy, but we're going with the 13.5-point underdogs this weekend, the Washington Redskins. If you don't know this, the Washington Redskins can still make the playoffs. Now, everything has to go right for them, but the Redskins still can make the playoffs. They've won 2 straight football games, longest streak in the NFC East right now, winning-wise. The Packers have not looked that great. Like, they decimated the Giants, but the Giants are way worse than the Redskins right now. The Redskins defense is solid, and that rushing offense is really, really good. You had Darius Guice and you have Adrian Peterson, and they both almost amassed 100 yards last week. They can run it down your throat really well, and they can stop you, which is why I'm picking the Redskins this week. Aaron Rodgers will have to take the team on his back, and I just don't know if he can do that considering the defensive line. Like, we all saw how Aaron Rodgers fared against the Niners' defensive line. That's the best defensive line in football. Redskins might be the second. You have Ioannidis, you have John Payne, you have Ryan Kerrigan, who's rushing the best, and you also have Montez Sweat. Like, that's not exactly the defensive line. Technically, they're out. Sweat and Kerrigan are both outside linebackers, but they rush the quarterback really well. And Jonathan Allen as well, a DT. Great defensive line. I'm stressed this enough. They're going to stop the run, and they're going to get pressure on you no matter what you do. My pick here, I'm picking the Redskins. Again, I'm a Redskins fan, so that's probably going to slant my view. But so badly, I want the Redskins to make the playoffs with a 7-9 record. That would just be absolutely hilarious. But we're going to pick the Redskins here. Okay, Adelaide. Puppers. Now it's time for Puppers pick of the week. Jets are playing the Dolphins. Puppers, what's your prediction? Pupper says the Jets are going to win, and I disagree. Dolphins are going to win here because the Dolphins are the best. Never thought I was going to say this in years when the Dolphins season started. The Dolphins are the better football team than the New York Jets. Sam Darnold's a really good quarterback, not going to lie. He's the future of that Jets team. But the rest of the team around him, not good at all. Which, like, I mean, I get it. You have Le'Veon Bell, you have Jamison Crowder. Like, that's a good 3 right there with Sam Darnold, Le'Veon Bell, Jamison Crowder. I'm not complaining about that. Defense, you're working on it. You got Quinnen Williams, and you have C.J. Mosley, and Jamal Adams. That's good. It's a good team. Problem is, they don't have an offensive line. And that is the number one thing for being able to protect your quarterback. Well, look at Josh Allen. Almost nothing changed from this year to this. Actually, a lot of things changed from him. But the offensive line changed a lot. They signed Mitch Morse out of free agency, and they drafted Cody Ford. Those have been 2 huge players for protecting Josh Allen. And that is what you need to do with Sam Darnold. Draft a new offensive lineman or get some out of free agency. Or do both like the Bills did. I can't stress this enough. The Dolphins here have Fitzmagic on their side. And when Fitzpatrick is playing well, he's playing fantastic. When he's playing terribly, he's playing terribly. But he's on a roll. He's playing fantastic the past few weeks. Like, even that Browns game, he was still playing well. He almost brought them back, but for some reason, that interception was called targeting. No clue how in the world that's targeting. That's just a good football play. And I get mad about stuff like that, but that was a good football play, and I'm upset that they called that. But, moving on. I think the Dolphins are going to win. It's for one reason. Devontae Parker and Fitzpatrick are lighting it up, and the defense is playing better than expected because Brian Flores is an amazing defensive head coach. Anyways, thank you guys for listening. This is GGB and co-host Papa Shane. Adios, amigos.